Well, welcome. And today we're going to talk about those of you that are feeling stuck. You know you need to make a move. You know you need to make a jump off maybe that job, that corporate situation that is just driving you crazy. But stepping off and starting something new, we need a bit of a smooth transition. We need clarity around that. We need to have direct purpose. And we're going to talk about the things that hold many of us women back from making that move. And I'm going to talk to you, the procrastinator, and maybe you're the perfectionist, or maybe you are the dreamer. So let's dive into each of these things. Let's talk about how we can work through these things to get the life that we want, have life by design and not by default, feel clarity in what it is you are choosing for you in this next step of your life, whether you're going to stay in your regular job and build out that entrepreneur side of you as well at the same time. Tell that story, becoming best-selling author, and then use that book for your brand or business or coaching, teaching, whatever it is you're going to do with that. However, before we get there, we need to talk about you, the procrastinator. Do you feel stuck in your 9 to 5? Are you grinding away with a story inside of you that's begging to be heard, but you are reluctant to share that or afraid to share that? Do you crave the freedom to use your voice to inspire, to connect, to heal without worrying if it's going to be qualified enough to even begin? How about my perfectionists? You may be one of all of these categories we're going to talk about. The perfectionist, let's talk to you. Are you tired of feeling buried in tasks and uncertainty? And are you holding yourself back because of perfectionism? It needs to be just right before you make that launch. You're afraid of being judged, and it's time to find clarity. It's time to get really clear and claim your voice and write the story that you were meant to share. Where are my dreamers? Yes, I'm a big dreamer. Do you sense there's more to life than staying quiet? And it doesn't matter how long you've been quiet. Do you dream of your story reaching others and becoming part of something bigger? So let's unlock your voice. Let's embrace your truth and create lasting impact. So we are on a mission to help 10,000 women share their stories and step fully into their voice and leadership with a proven system and a clear framework for impact. Because when women speak, the world changes. What are we doing? We're turning your voice into impact, turning your voice into influence and freedom, and turning your story into a movement. So let's talk about the big three shifts that have helped us release self-doubt and show up in conversations with authenticity and confidence without feeling pushy or out of alignment with our purpose. So the shift number one is, if I'm not perfect, my message won't land. So that's the first shift we're going to make. The second shift we're going to make is, I worry my story it's not worth sharing. And then the third shift is going to be, I worry that being honest will leave me rather exposed. So the big question then is, how do I become confident? How do I become a confident woman who shares her story, lives her purpose, and impacts lives without getting stuck in fear or self-doubt? Those are two big things, particularly that hold people back. So here is your power move number one. What is going to make your readers connect with you? What is going to make your reader take action, and share your message? That's what we want to get clarity around, because true power lies in the voice you're willing to share. Has to be the voice that you're willing to share. That's super important. Now, I know that you may be saying to yourself, I feel like my story doesn't matter. Who would care? It's not dramatic enough, and I'm just ordinary. Precisely. That's what makes you perfect. And why is that? Your story does matter. It's not perfect, but it's because it's real. Someone is waiting to hear from you, is what we want you to then turn that into yourself and saying, someone is waiting to hear from me, if you say that to yourself. Or, my story isn't meant to impress, it's meant to connect. So make it about how you feel and what it is you're going to say, as opposed to, my story doesn't matter and nobody needs to hear it. You are an ordinary woman that can rise and heal. Very much so. So this is what we want you to think about. In the Speak framework, my book is called Speak, a Guide to Unleashing Every Woman's Voice, and the SPEAK, I'll break that down for you. That's the framework that is used for turning your story into a best-selling book. So the S in Speak is for sharing your truth, owning your story. That can only be told your way. And others that knew you, they will see it from a different perspective. The P is going to be processing the pain. Many of the people that I've written with, they are writing a transformation story. They were here, now they are here, and on their way. We're all on a journey. There's no at the mountaintop waving a flag and we've arrived. But we're going to process the pain and reframe the hard parts. We're going to reframe the hard parts so it doesn't also hold us back and you have that be the reason that you can't move forward. The E in Speak is for elevate your voice. I want you to think about stepping into your power. Stepping into your power. And the A is to align with your audience. Who is your story for? Who are you telling the story to? And how is it going to help them so that you can connect your story to who it is you specifically want to speak to? And you know who they are. And it's not everybody. It's going to be, I speak to women. I speak to aspiring authors who want to become best-selling authors and tell their story, who have a story to share, oftentimes about transformation. Transformation can be in your health, in your wealth, in your relationship, in your profession. It could be anything. And then the K is to kindle change, embrace that change, accept that change, because you're changing and you're sparking new possibilities. Okay, you are sparking new possibilities. Everything is possible for you. And so we want to embrace that. All right. So I want you to think about sharing your truth because your story matters. So question for you is, what truth have you been holding back on? And what would it feel like to say it out loud just for you? And then if you've got something you can write this down on, the question for you is to write a three-sentence version of your story. No edits, no filters, just honesty. A three-sentence version of your story. The P then, we're going to talk about processing the pain, reframing the hard parts. Sometimes we've had many hard parts in our lives. And I think as women, we're rather remarkable at sometimes squashing it, suppressing it, and sometimes nurturing it and allowing it to continue to hold us back. What have you survived that someone else is still struggling with? And maybe there's more than one thing, but focus on the thing that comes to your mind first, the thing that stands out. And what did that chapter of your life teach you? What did that chapter of your life teach you? And circle one memory that shaped you. One memory that shaped you. And then underneath that, I want you to, what lesson do you think you got from that? What lesson do you think you got from that? All right, so let's talk about the E in speak. That's elevating your voice. No more playing quiet. No more hiding. It's time to use your voice. You've been quiet for long enough already. Too long, in fact. And it's time to take up space. It's time to unmic. Where are you playing small or waiting for permission? And what would change if you believed your voice could open doors? Okay, this is an assignment I have for you. I want you can do that on your phone, on the audible memo section of your phone, if you have that. Record a 60-second voice note sharing why you want to write your book or tell your story. A 60-second voice note just for yourself, sharing why you want to write your book or tell your story. The A in the Speak framework is to align with your audience. Connect your story. Who are you speaking with? It's people who've gone through something in their health, they've recovered something, had financial loss, health changes, relationships, you name it. Connect your story to them. The story matters. Who needs to hear your story right now? And what do you want her to feel, believe, or do? What would you have liked to have known early on in your journey? What would have helped you and made that transition, that time in your life go smoother, be easier? I assure you, somebody else is going through the same thing and is waiting to hear you and your version of events. So this is what I want you to do. Write a message starting with, "To the woman who feels like I once did, ... And write what it is you'd want to share with that woman. The K in speak, in the word speak, is to kindle change. That is to spark new possibilities. That is to embrace the change. Everything must change. We are always changing. And life becomes actually more difficult, more painful when we resist that change. What possibility can your story unlock in others, in other women? And what's the ripple effect if you decide to show up today? Write down one thing you can do this week to share part of your story. It could be a social post, a journal entry, a conversation, but write down one thing you can do this week to share a part of your story. You get to decide how public you want to be with it. It's not going to be the whole thing. It could be a one-liner, but what's that one thing you're going to share? Zuri, one of my clients, had a breakthrough. She said, "I always had this fantastical story living inside of me, but for years, I kept quiet. I doubted whether it was good enough, whether I was good enough. But once I said yes to getting help and stopped trying to do it alone, everything changed. I found my voice, finished my book, and became a published author for the first time. And now my story is out in the world and people are connecting with it in ways that I never imagined. And that's Ziori, and she is now a best-selling author with her very fantastical story. And it is quite a fantastic story that could be definitely turned into a play or a movie. And there's animals featured in this book, and they're talking animals, and they have this amazing story to share. So, what questions are coming up for you? We all are very unique and very different in what it is we want to talk about, what stories we have to share. And there is, yes, some mastery in storytelling. So we're going to talk about how to create an emotional connection in your story so it resonates and connects with who it is you're talking to. Okay, that's super important. And that's one of the big things that we're going to make sure happens. Now, in your old story of you are thinking that storytelling is only for entertainment and doesn't have a place in business or my life. What is your story? What is your story? Who are you? How are you introducing yourself when people ask you, what do you do? Or tell me about yourself. That's the story. You're telling a story right then. What is that story? Is it an old story? How is that story serving you? How about a fresh lens on what's possible for you? Storytelling is a powerful tool for businesses to convey value, and we all connect with the story. We really do. Everybody that you've known that's on social media or on TV or has a brand, they all have a story, how they got to be there. And we love those stories. That's how we connect with people. They didn't just wake up and decide to build whatever it is or brand. There's a story behind it. Storytelling is a powerful tool for business, for you, and engages the heart to the reader, your reader of your book. So there's a framework around telling your story. You want to grab the reader's or the listener's attention. One sentence for context: who, when, and the what. Two sentences to introduce the problem. I was. What was it? Where did you find yourself? What was the situation? And then talk about your response to the problem. Where did it keep you? Were you stuck? Were you trapped? Were you in fear? Were you in pain? What was going on? And then you want to have a sentence about the results. How did it work out? People really want to know that you made it through. Like you're keeping them in suspense. And then you want to put a sentence in there, let's say, about the takeaway. What do you want your listener to know about? So there is a framework to telling your story. So let me give you some examples. So one sentence for context, when you say the who, the when, the what. In January, my highest client ghosted me. My highest paying client ghosted me. And then two sentences to introduce a problem. By February, and I knew the window, I'm giving you some examples here, I knew the window was closing. If I didn't step into my voice soon, I might lose the courage to speak at all. A two-sentence response to the problem. And then you're going to build out on this is for your book. Then I remembered nothing encourages people more than recommendations from a friend. I didn't need to find new people. I needed to ask previous clients for referrals. And then let's have a sentence about the result. Well, how did it work out? I leaned into the stories. I was holding back. And suddenly the next chapter seemed so much clearer. And then let's have a sentence for your takeaway. We're going to talk about replacing lack, because that's essentially what happened, with resourcefulness, which is what you did. So that's just a little bit of a framework around how you're going to tell your story. You're going to build that out, of course, and we're going to work on that. Kimberly, another published author, a best-selling author that I work with, another example, she said, I never saw myself as an author, let alone a best-selling one. But once I committed to telling my story, everything shifted. Once I committed to telling my story, everything shifted. Writing my book gave me clarity, confidence, and credibility. Finally feeling like I'm using my voice to make the impact I was meant for. And that's Kimberly, who is a best-selling author of her book, which was called Silent No More. So let's talk about this, shall we? Let's talk about the framework to move past what's been holding you back. Let's connect and agree and relate with the high level concern that you have, because I'm hearing you. I know it's fear of judgment, huge, or not being enough to feel real, not feeling like you can do this. And then let's get some clarity. Get to the root concern. Because if it's done well, what is holding you back? Is it a question of money, maybe investing in yourself, which can be solved with clarity around your finances? So let's get clear. What's the real block? What might prevent you from making a move forward? Is it perfectionism? Is it fear of rejection? Is it feeling like it's too late? Many people feel like it's just too late. I'm too old, it's too late, I couldn't do that now. Sometimes I don't have the money for that. That can be an issue, and there are solutions around that so we can get your story to life. And time is a big one. Goodness. Do you have at least 30 minutes a day, maybe 2 hours a week, that you can allocate to working on writing your story and giving it the time it deserves if it's that important to you? So let's talk about collaborating, working together to determine solutions that would get you through these very real concerns of yours, and explore ways that we can move through this together. Think about it. What support would you need right now? I know you want to wait until life seems a little less stressful. Life seems more settled. When will that be, do you think? There's a way of seeing that's going to set you free, in fact. Your story is a priority, and telling it now may be the breakthrough that makes all your other goals possible. Every uncertainty is a moment to find the courage within you. Your story is a priority. And let's make this shift also, because this can make your worries work for you if you can, work your way through this. What would happen? What would happen if you trusted that your voice mattered more than your doubts? We're talking about making your worries work for you. What would happen if you trusted your voice, that your voice mattered more than your doubts? So the questions that you are asking yourselves can be the doorway to possibilities. What questions come up for you? There's a point where if you can just listen to what it is you're saying to yourself, because this is where you learn to hear your own voice first, and then hold space to hear what is going to help you. And listening to others too, because active listening isn't about perfect responses. It's about empowering connections for yourself and for those that you are called to serve. When you write your book and you tell your story, you're actually serving in a way. You have something to share and you are helping others. You have an old story. I can't, I won't, I never, all the negative things that you say. And the more that you doubt whether your voice matters, the more that you convince yourself that nobody's going to care about your story, because you keep repeating that story to yourself. But here is a liberating perspective that you might want to consider. Real transformation begins with listening, not to others first, but to yourself. It's about asking yourself the right questions, empowering questions, not just to understand what you think you need, but to finally see what's possible when you tell your story and become the author you are meant to be. Your voice becomes your superpower. Turn the lessons of your life into a book that inspires, impacts, and frees you. Share your truth and cover the story that shaped you. Process the pain. The P in speak is process the pain and reframe what once held you back. It doesn't have to keep continuing to hold you back. Elevate your voice. Time to unmic. Time to turn that mic on and have your voice be heard, and step into visibility with courage. And align with your audience. Speak in a way that's going to connect with them, connect with her. And then the K is to kindle change, ignite transformation in others and yourself. So don't let your story stay untold. The world needs to hear it. She needs to hear it. And this is how you can claim your place. You can do a couple of things, because this is where your next chapter begins. But you decide. You can park it and dream on. Your story stays in your head, not in the world. Just stays in your head, going round and round. Or you can tinker with traction, tweaking and stay stuck, but never moving past your comfort zone. And then you can partner with a guide. You can work with a guide to bring your story and your voice to life with clarity and ease. Your guide is your coach, your mentor, who's going to help you tell your story. So if you're a purpose-driven woman ready to share your story, become a best-selling author, and make impact, don't go it alone. Let me show you how to move from dream to done with the clarity and the support that you have been craving. Many of us need a guide. We need a structure. We need a format. We stay stuck because we are in the I don't know how to do that stage. I want to do that, but I don't know how to do that. And we don't have clarity about what the message is and who we are talking to. Your story can pay you, by the way, if you treat your book like a business. You don't need 10 offers. You need one great story, one aligned offer, and a system to sell it. Scaling to 10, even 100K months doesn't require burnout, hustle, or being everywhere. Some of us are already doing that in our jobs. It requires turning your book into your brand's backbone, using your book and using the pain, the thing that you've been through, as a blueprint for someone else's breakthrough, and charging accordingly because you are helping. With booking 10 plus qualified sales calls a day, change your life and business. Let's do some math on that. Let's do the math. 10 qualified leads, for instance, let's say 8 live calls with somebody that's going to use your services. And if that could equal two new clients with maybe a 5K offer, that's a 10K revenue for you to help transform someone else's life. And if your 90-day goal was, say, because what do you need to maybe transfer yourself out of one area that you're working in and into something else, what do you need to replace so you can make this change if you want to do this all the way? So if your 90-day goal was, say, 10,000 a month, then it would cost you 30,000 over the 3 months, the 90 days. And if your 12-month goal was, say, $20,000 a month, then it's going to cost you $240,000. That's going to cost you that to not do anything at all. You're not doing anything, and that's the money that you're leaving on the table. So why keep delaying the progress? Why keep delaying the process? You're losing precious hours each week, stuck in decision mode instead of writing the story that could set you free and help others, by the way, and set others free. Reclaiming that time means finally living on your own terms, with the freedom to share your voice, live your passion, and create legacy that aligns with the woman you were meant to be. So, are you ready to book that call? Are you ready to have that conversation? Are you ready to make change in your life? Some of us are very, very ready to make that change because we know what we're doing is not a long-term plan. And for many of us, well, you tell me, how sustainable is that? Hope is available for you. Your story is worth telling. And who can you help and guide with the telling of your story? And what happens next? You become a best-selling author. You begin to launch this business, this brand. Now what? What else can you do with that? Can you speak with that? Can you create digital courses with that? What else are you able to do with that? And those are some of the things that we will talk about if you are ready to explore what that can look like for you. Are you ready to live that life by design and not by default?